Blade Runner 2049 is one of the most important films made in the 21st century because it interrogates the future trajectory of our society and the deepening chasm of loneliness, similar to the loneliness epidemic that we face today. With unsettling realism, the film depicts how the modern world fosters and amplifies isolation. The main character's journey battles with the same forces that shape our current society, and at the end of the movie, you'll realize just how deep the message truly is. But to truly understand the links to today's society, we need to dive straight into the movie. Right from the beginning of the film, we see California in the future. The setting is dark and grim, with the colors used in the cinematography giving a sense of loneliness and solitude. There's no sense of anything natural or anything that could be found in nature. Humanity has built itself into an artificial world and has convinced itself that this is an evolutionary leap forward. We are introduced to the concept of replicants, synthetic humans with engineered physical and mental capabilities far more advanced than the evolution of humans. However, the Tyrell Corporation that created them couldn't control them and collapsed when a significant number of replicants went rogue and rebelled. This rebellion, coupled with a near-complete ecological collapse, has transformed the world into a desolate wasteland. Only advancements in artificial farming, spearheaded by the enigmatic Wallace, offer the semblance of salvation. Wallace is the new owner of what was once the Tyrell Corporation, a billionaire inventor with a god complex who has developed a new obedient model of replicant, devoid of free will. The older replicants, who still have free will and survive the violent rebellions, are now being hunted by Blade Runners. Blade Runners are police officers whose job it is to kill or retire rogue replicants, and the main character of the story is Kay, a Blade Runner who is a newer model of replicant. In the opening scene, Kay flies alone over a desolate landscape, which underscores the movie's pervasive theme of isolation. Upon landing, he encounters a man in a glaring Hamzat suit, who pours some worms out of a dark liquid. Kay makes his way into the man's house, where they begin a tense conversation. It's subtly revealed that Kay is a Blade Runner, and knows that the farmer is a replicant. As the situation escalates to an expected violent end, the farmer's enhanced strength is evident when he hurls Kay through a wall. However, Kay quickly regains control and scans the farmer's eye with a device to verify that he is in fact a replicant. But just before Kay is about to execute the farmer, he says something strange.
Because you've never seen a miracle.
Although this is just another day at the office for the Blade Runner, the farmer's comment is still odd. While he sits in his car, he ponders on this for a moment and goes back outside. Kay spots a single yellow flower blooming defiantly amongst the farm's ashes and debris. He realizes that it's a marker. He detects a hidden box beneath it using his scanner, but he has to put the investigation on hold at the moment to escape an approaching storm. As he leaves, we see again just how dystopian this world truly is. The world of Blade Runner 2049 is just so desolate. It evokes a sense of isolation and oppression. Blade Runner's world is a paradox, utterly alien yet strangely familiar. That feeling of enormity, reminiscent of being a single speck of sand in a vast desert. This is just as present in the megacities that we live in today. It's this very real atmosphere, this detached Western alienation in these giant dystopian megacities that gives the movie so much weight. It shows the ever-present feeling of loneliness that the Western megacities imbue. But in this vast and uncaring world, there's enormous room for a journey of truth and discovery. At first, Kay's search for meaning in this world appears daunting, with technology complicating and slowing him down. Kind of how social media and information overload keeps us distracted and going through the motions. But Kay doesn't give up, even though what he ends up finding isn't what you'd expect. Kay's journey is a lot like the journey we all have to go through today. By looking at Kay's journey, we can understand a bit more about who we are and where we fit in the society. There's a lot standing in Kay's way, and they're the same things that stifle people's authentic desires and needs today. One of the ways that Blade Runner draws a very big parallel to real life is through its architecture. The buildings and landscapes in Blade Runner are strikingly bleak. Even seeing them briefly gives you a feeling of impenetrable loneliness and insignificance. While they might look beautiful and intriguing from afar, the reality of living in these sorts of buildings is horrifying. That's why people in today's megacities can relate to the vibe in Blade Runner 2049. The dread that seeps from these concrete giants and the stark modern buildings sets a heavy, gloomy mood. It's something you see in almost all big cities now, making the tough grind of modern life even harder. The cold, impersonal nature of this architecture feels totally at odds with a happy, meaningful life. reflecting on the tough existence of its inhabitants who have to navigate through life amidst the cold, indifferent structures. And we'll see what I mean throughout the rest of the film, because in the next scene, we learn that the Blade Runner's name is Officer KD6-3.7, or just K for short. He lives a harsh life full of violence, made even tougher by the constant harassment he faces as a replicant.
Fuck off, good job.
K occupies a much lower social class than organic humans, being treated more like a tool or slave by the natural-born humans. He's under strict control by his boss.
Are you telling me no?
I wasn't aware that was an option, man.
Attaboy.
Obeying her orders without question. Any hint of emotion could lead to him being retired, just like the farmer that he dealt with in the previous scene. This control is maintained through a strange hypnotic test that checks his emotional responses. After his missions, K undergoes this intense test, and after a stressful wait, he's told he's okay to go home. Even though K doesn't fully understand it yet, this moment marks the beginning of his quest for truth in Blade Runner. And oddly enough, this links with the film's strategic use of color, particularly the yellow tints representing truth and guidance, which contrasts with the misleading shades of purple that lead K astray. The discovery of the yellow flower signifies the start of K's heroic journey, acting as his call to adventure, a pivotal element in the hero's journey. This journey concept, fully articulated by psychologist Joseph Campbell, consists of 3 main stages, each with distinct phases. At first, the hero receives a call to adventure, which they initially resist. A mysterious figure then points them in the right direction, exposing the falsehoods and the lie that they are currently living in. An overwhelming threat then forces them out of their usual world and into the unknown, leading to a journey of self-discovery and transformation. Throughout this journey, the hero is forced to make hard decisions and sacrifices. They undergo profound growth, facing challenges that uncover their true purpose and potential, ultimately leading to self-realization and fulfillment. This journey, epitomized by K's experiences, transcends personal struggle, embodying a universal narrative of enlightenment which the hero can use to defeat the main threat and find their place in the world. For K, this all begins with the yellow flower, but it's the next realization that will really set the ball rolling. To understand this next realization, we need to understand the lifestyle of K. You see, K is a representation of the average lonely man in society. He lives in a dingy apartment in poverty, and when he comes home, we hear his girlfriend shouting from another room.
It's ready. I hope you're gonna like it.
Her name is later revealed as Joy. Joy isn't a normal girlfriend. She's a sentient AI with her only physical representation existing as a hologram. She's not even real. There's no real deep connection. She's a program. But K uses this AI to mask the pain of his loneliness. He can switch her on and off as he pleases. She's able to learn and retain memories. She knows K and caters to his every need. The more we look into this relationship, the more we can start to see the parallels between Joy and current society and the increasingly transactional nature of human relationships. All of this mirrors the present-day reality of AI girlfriends and companionship. Instead of Joy, we are now able to get an AI girlfriend like Digi or one of the offerings from Real Doll X. Similar to Joy, they work off algorithms that learn what you like and what you don't to ultimately figure out how to love you, all at a price. As we look to these new sex bots popping up everywhere, we start to see the similarities between Joy and the real-life bots. Both are soulless, both ask the question of what's real or not, and both are a temporary fix to a permanent problem. K himself is no different. He's also programmed to do a job and accept the orders he's given without question. But what does this say about our own programming? Individuals are often expected to adhere to certain life scripts, such as pursuing higher education, entering the workforce, and conforming to social norms, without critically questioning their personal desires or the status quo. Moreover, the influence of media and advertising in shaping desires and aspirations serves as another example of societal programming. But just because these feelings and behaviors are programmed, are they any less real? The fact that Joy is incapable of not loving K adds to the dullness and desolation, stripping away the complexities that lend depth and meaning to a genuine relationship. This is basically an analogy for adult entertainment, presenting the illusion of the perfect woman, the perfect body, and the perfect face, offering immediate satisfaction, but ultimately leading to a prolonged, lonely existence. Even without delving into the concept of free will, Joy's presence mirrors aspects of our own society. She serves to pacify K, cushioning the harshness of his life, numbing him with cheap dopamine, anchoring him from pursuing his true potential, and shielding him from the persistent desolation of the world. Yet, fundamentally, it remains a facade, an inadequate substitute for genuine human interaction. Joy's holographic existence is an extension of the parasocial relationships people form with online personalities like Twitch streamers, Instagram celebrities, and OnlyFans creators. Although Joy might appear lifelike, just like the sex bots and AI girlfriends, she's just a commodification, lacking substance. She doesn't exist, merely an empty shell, leaving Kay in a pursuit of an illusion, only compounding his loneliness and isolation. The overarching theme of this movie is loneliness and artificial relationships. However, I just want to touch briefly on another detrimental aspect of this, which is the commodification of women, which ultimately hurts both genders. As this world has become more transactional, more and more people go on without any meaningful connections. We're lonelier than ever, more depressed than ever, and more attached to our screens than we are to the people around us. In the movie, women are reduced to stock, often sexualized roles, just like the present-day treatment of women in society. We've all heard the term sex sells. Well, there's a reason for it. It's all about the male gaze, the human gaze, and the tragic effects they can have on both sexes. The future of 2049 is that women are prostitutes or are sexualized, with advertising hovering over cities for men to leer at. Continuous exposure to sexualized and commodified images of women leads to a societal desensitization where the intrinsic value of individuals is overshadowed, resulting in a loss of masculinity and femininity and the blurring of personal identity. This is what's so depressing about Blade Runner. When both Kay and Joy come to embrace on the roof, a call from the boss disrupts the scene mid-frame and Kay is forced to answer, confronting the brutal, horrible reality that is his life, where the boss demands that Kay comes back to the office immediately as they have found something. Once Kay gets back to the office, he is shown the contents of the box. It turns out it was a coffin with a 30-year-old female body. At first, it seemed like the farmer might have killed her, but it turns out that she died during childbirth. This revelation shocks everyone even more when it's found out that the woman was a replicant. Replicants are not supposed to be able to reproduce, but somehow this woman did. Now Kay's boss says,
The world is built on a wall. It separates kind. Tell either side there's no wall, you bought a war. Or a slaughter.
learning that replicants can also create life would break the final barriers between them and human beings, forcing the world to come to terms with its gross treatment of sentient life. But all of this can be avoided if Kay finds the child and retires it. This setup brings us to Kay's overall quest in his journey, to find the mystery behind the child. Kay is tasked with bearing the truth and locating the child to prevent a potential societal system collapse. He finds himself at the heart of a moral quandary, torn between his programmed purpose and the dawning realization of his own identity within the larger mystery. His mission leads him to investigate the baby's genetic records, but just as he finds them, he is greeted with a new character called Love, another replicant employed by Wallace. Love, as Wallace's emissary, embodies the chilling efficiency of the new replicant order, while Wallace himself, obsessed with godlike control, epitomizes the hubris and moral decay of the elite, seeking to commodify life itself. Love does provide Kay with information, but it's all fragmented and muddled. But Kay manages to extract the name Deckard from an old recording. With this clue, Kay approaches a former associate of Deckard who provides cryptic information. Meanwhile, Love reports back to Wallace, revealing him to be a megalomaniac who sees himself as a god. Now, Wallace is a member of the Ultra Elite, the 0.01%, who masquerades as a benefactor while harboring malevolent intentions for the future. His goal is to create self-replicating replicants which he can use for slave labor. Wallace has developed a new version of replicants, yet he is missing some of the secrets. In a horrifying display of dominance and brutality, he inspects one of these new models and then kills it, showing us that he views lives as expendable in his quest for greater power and greed. Wallace reveals that he knows about the replicant child and tasks Love to find them as well. Wallace isn't just the main antagonist for Kay. He embodies the broader insidious forces shaping society. The concept of habitus, developed by sociologists, illustrates how society shapes individuals. From birth, people are influenced by the attitudes and perspectives prevalent in their environment, gradually mirroring these ingrained values. However, as society decays, this leads to disconnection from the habitus, fueling a cycle of isolation, violence, and moral decay. thereby warping the habitus and the people within the habitus into a reflection of these negative values. Wallace represents this distorted dystopian habitus, imposing predetermined corrupt roles on individuals. This mirrors the situation in Blade Runner to our own world, where people are unable to find meaning without proper guidance on how to live authentically. We look up to false idols, self-help gurus, and any quick fix for our purposeless lives, with our society forcing people into roles they never really wanted but were pushed into. This horrible, isolating box, inevitably leading to loneliness and despair as people search for some hidden meaning, but they are never able to find it because they can never see outside of the box that they live in. In the typical life cycle, you're born, go to school for 12 years, go to college, get a job, build in someone else's company, get married, have kids, and die. We then cut to this scene where this unnamed woman, who I'm going to talk about later, hires prostitutes to extract information out of Kay. But before the prostitutes approach him, we see them standing in front of a foggy glass building where other women are moaning loudly while being pleasured. The imagery of this scene is what I mean by humanity reducing itself to its most animalistic and basic form. These days, people are living their lives merely by chasing pleasure. Now, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with this, but what I am saying is that Blade Runner shows us what will happen to society and humanity if people continue to dictate their lives purely based on pleasure. The film's portrayal of a society addicted to easy pleasures, constantly seeking dopamine hits, paints a grim picture of a future where instant gratification leads to a docile, unthinking populace that is content to numb themselves and is disconnected from real issues and personal fulfillment. At this stage in the story, Kay reaches the dead end in his search. He has no idea what to do next, so he returns to the farm where the body was discovered and uncovers a hidden compartment containing a solitary sock as well as a date carved into a tree. This date astonishingly matches one of Kay's memories, which he presumed were artificially implanted. But after talking with Joy, a dangerous possibility becomes clear. The memories might actually be real, suggesting Kay himself could be the sought after special child. This revelation is monumental for Kay, marking a pivotal moment in his journey. Until now, his existence felt like it lacked genuine purpose or significance. Yet, this discovery propels him down a path that could validate his significance and establish his place in the world. This plunges him into a deep existential crisis, challenging the very foundations of his existence. The possibility that Kay might be the special child that everyone is searching for becomes a significant turning point in his journey. Now, philosophers have long debated about the nature of meaning, but one notable modern Western philosopher, Schopenhauer, garnered attention for his theory that society fits people into predetermined roles. Without the freedom to escape from the roles, they are forced to live out their lives in service. He argued that people chip away at the labor that they have no connection to, isolated from the product or motive, and have no sense of attachment to their work. This theme resonates both in the Blade Runner universe and our society, where individuals often feel trapped in unfulfilling roles dictated by a vast, indifferent system. In Blade Runner, this concept is manifested literally, with replicants created to serve specific purposes, devoid of personal fulfillment like modern-day slaves. Similarly, in our world, while technology hasn't eradicated free will as in Blade Runner, it has constrained people within a societal framework, making them feel insignificant in a massive, uncaring system. The discovery that Kay might be the legendary replicant child offers him a beacon of hope, suggesting a way out of the nihilistic worldview Schopenhauer described. This chance and a meaningful existence propels Kay to investigate further, so he decides to go to this place from his memory where he hid the wooden horse, which serves to confirm his growing belief in his unique identity and higher purpose. The same wooden toy that he thought was a fake memory is still there and is actually real. And once he's retrieved it, Kay is hit by the realization that he is in fact special and he has a higher purpose to work towards, which is only reinforced by Joy, who gives him a real name. To verify whether his memory is an implant or not, he heads to a specialized lab where the woman responsible for creating replica memories lives. She's immunocompromised, meaning that she can't leave this room and has been there as a child. So she watches Kay's memory with tears in her eyes and tells him that it's all real. What he remembered really did happen, and his life really does have a greater meaning. Up until this point, Kay had been holding in all of his emotions, but when Kay learned that his memory is actually real, it's a lot to process. It means that he is the replicant child and that his life as a Blade Runner is all a lie. And this knowledge is all too much for Kay, who lets out years of raw, pent-up emotion in one short outburst. K's entire life crumbles around him. Shortly after leaving the lab, he's arrested and forced to undergo a grading baseline test. K predictably fails, but saves his own life by lying to his boss that he found the replicant child and killed them, and she lets him go. K goes back home to see Joy, but she has a surprise waiting for him. She has hired the prostitute from earlier to sing with her so that she can experience real lovemaking with K, and even though the technology looks close to the real thing, it still hasn't cleared the unbridgeable gap. It's all a lie. It's just another form of instant gratification that's holding K's life down, all for the benefits of the powerful few, and so just before the prostitute leaves, she places a tracker on K. Knowing that authorities are hot on his trail, K goes on the run. But before he leaves, he transfers Joy to the portable device and erases her from the house so that her memories can't be mined for information on K. This means she's tied to the device. If it's destroyed, then she will die with it. Love arrives to find an empty apartment. Meanwhile, K discovers the wooden horse originated from Las Vegas, which is now a desolate wasteland. Love next goes to see K's boss, but kills her when she tells him that K killed the child and is nowhere to be found. Afterwards, Love hacks into the computer system using her dead body and learns that K is in Las Vegas. But K is still ahead of her and makes his way to a ruined city where he finds Deckard, who K now believes is his father. They talk and discuss the mother of the child, a replicant called Rachel. But before they go any deeper into the discussion, Love shows up with backup, kidnapping Deckard and leaving K for dead, who is heavily wounded, but not before killing Joy by stepping on her portable device. I love you. Just for good measure. And with that destroys the last bit left from K's old life. K is now completely alone. Although, in a twist of fate, K is fortunately rescued and taken in by a secretive group of replicants led by Frazier. The woman who placed the tracker on him earlier welcomes him and reveals their plan to revolt against the oppressive control of humanity and Wallace. They even urge K to kill Deckard to prevent the truth about the child emerging. But there's something else that K learns while talking to Frazier. Rachel's child was a daughter, not a son, which means K is not the prophesied child he thought he was. The memories he believed were his are actually implants from the real child. K realizes he doesn't have a grand destiny. His journey was a facade. His existence merely instrumental in helping other people's journeys, rendering his own life devoid of personal meaning. He's essentially been a slave. After all of this goes down, K takes a walk outside and we treat it to one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, where a massive hologram of Joy appears in front of K, telling him that she can help him with his deep-seated loneliness.
You look lonely. I can fix that. You look like a good Joe.
But this isn't actually K's Joy. This is just an advertisement. But even without knowing anything about him, the hologram calls K Joe, the same name that Joy had given K earlier. This only further confirms the feeling that K's life has been built on lies. Joy's love for him and even what she said in the most intimate moments were all designed and created by someone else. It was all fake from the beginning. This realization hits home with Schopenhauer's bleak view on life's meaning. Our only real purpose is to survive, what he calls the will, driving us forward. After death, there's no knowing your life's impact. Every moment just disappears. Blade Runner dives deeper, showing that for ages, humans have wrestled with finding meaning in life beyond mere survival. Buddhism talks about life as suffering and desire as the root of the suffering, reflecting Schopenhauer's idea of the will. But there's more to it. Nietzsche argued that while we might not find meaning externally, we can create it ourselves. Striving for something gives life its purpose. In a world where traditional values have been disrupted, with degeneracy running rampant, finding personal meaning gets tougher, especially as technology offers more distractions and false solutions, leading to a profound sense of isolation. But these are just dead ends, empty of meaning. Blade Runner almost predicts a future where today's societal issues are amplified. Yet, in this grim future, K manages to find his own meaning. But instead of just killing Deckard, K tries to save him. He fights Love in a long and intense battle with both of them being gravely wounded. For the first time, K veers off the path set out for him, embracing a destiny that is genuinely his, making choices that define him. In rescuing Deckard, K finds purpose and completes his heroic journey. She realizes the scientist in the memory lab was moved by her own past, not K's story. When K reunites Deckard with his daughter, his own odyssey of hardship and loss culminates in a profound act of connection, giving K the sense of purpose he had long sought. As Kay lays on the snowy steps, about to succumb to his wounds, he understands what it means to live for something truly significant.